We're looking at the note pattern editor in PatternMusic, an iPhone music creation app. The pattern editor is where you create note patterns for your instruments. Instruments are managed in the song stage, and we'll look at that in more depth in another tutorial. To edit your instrument's note pattern, you either double tap the instrument icon or press and hold the instrument to bring up the options menu and press Edit. Once we zoom into the pattern editor, you will see what might seem like a fairly familiar matrix sequencer grid. We have note pitch running up and down the vertical axis, and time marches left to right through our note pattern. PatternMusic provides immediate visual and audible feedback for editing notes. You press a box, and it sounds the note. You press and hold a box, and the note is set permanently as part of the note pattern. Press and hold the box again to clear the note. You will notice when we press a note, there's a pop-up on the left to indicate the name of the note we hit. The pattern editor supports multi-touch, so you can hear and set multiple notes at once. And PatternMusic is fully polyphonic, so you can have many notes all hitting at the same time in one or many instruments. PatternMusic's pattern editor also has an option to zoom in and make the note boxes bigger. This is done with the button on the left of the playback controls. The big boxes make it easier for many people to hit a specific note. Hitting the box size button again toggles back to the original smaller note box. PatternMusic remembers your current setting and applies it to the pattern editors for all your instruments. If we look closer at the vertical scale of the pattern editor, you will see that you can touch and scroll the range of notes visible on screen by scrolling the piano keys up and down. The editor gives you feedback to where you are in the range of notes. You can scroll through a 4-octave range. That range can be shifted up or down using the transpose option at the far end of the middle row of instrument settings in the settings palette. Please watch the instrument settings tutorial or check out the PatternMusic help system for more details on the transpose option. Back to the scale of notes. These reflect the current song scale setting. Only notes in the current scale are displayed here. That's why you will sometimes see an unusual looking note keyboard. You can always tell PatternMusic to display all the piano keyboard notes by choosing the chromatic scale through the song scale setting. This won't affect any notes you've set, it just filters the pattern editor view. When you have notes that you've set, but they are scrolled up or down out of view, a small rectangle shows up at the edge to indicate that more notes are off screen. You can scroll up or down to view them. By default, the new instrument pattern in PatternMusic is made up of 16 notes, but this can be configured from 1 to 64 notes. Again, this is done through the settings palette with the pattern length setting. The interface will help you configure the pattern length for an integral number of bars based on your instrument's note length and time signature. If you set a pattern length of more than 16 notes in the small note boxes mode, or more than 10 notes for big boxes, then PatternMusic will allow you to scroll left and right using the timeline. Again, notes that have been set but scrolled off screen are indicated with small rectangular boxes at the edge of the grid. Another setting that's really important to understand is note length. All the notes in your instrument pattern have the same note length, set in the middle row of the settings palette. Note length can vary from whole notes to 16th notes with dotted and triplet options for each. You will notice a little dotted vertical line in the grid to mark the separation between bars. And that of course changes based on your note length setting. Just as in the song stage, PatternMusic has a set of playback controls. These get hidden in the pattern editor, but they can be revealed by simply touching the timeline at the bottom of the screen. You will find the usual play-pause control, as well as jump to start of song and jump to start of instrument pattern. Those don't have to be the same. the instrument start point is configured in the Settings palette. On the right side, you will find an indicator for loop count and the current song time in bars and beats in red and instrument time in white. The solo control is available in the pattern editor. Solo mutes all the other instruments in your song, allowing you to focus only on the current instrument. Solo is toggled on and off with the solo button on the playback controls, or if you change instruments. Another important shortcut in the pattern editor is the Next Instrument tab. It's a quick way to switch to the next instrument in your song, rather than zooming out to the song stage and zooming back into another instrument. And lastly, let's look at note dynamics. You can control the dynamics or loudness of new notes with the dynamics pop-out. This only affects new notes that you place in the pattern. Each note can have a different dynamic setting, but if you want to change the loudness of an existing note, you must clear it and place it again. That just about wraps it up for the pattern editor. As you can tell, there's a lot of functionality tied up in there. So dive in